Today on DNVR Buffs Live, is Shedeur Sanders being unfairly left out of the Heisman conversation? And we all dove into a little bit of Cincinnati film, our takeaways from that, and much more. Let's do it. Let's go.
Hell yeah, let's go. Welcome into...
Still waiting on that tag.
It's coming, man. No, don't trip. It's coming.
Let
it's
it
coming. We cooking over here.
Hey, that's fine.
Can't force it. Can't rush it. You feel me?
Coming to you live from Studio B for Buffs.
Studio B.
It's DNVR Buffs Prime
Biggest
time.
Studio B fan in the country right here.
I'm elated to be in this spot right now.
And I'm not even kidding. He really does love it.
He really does.
No cap.
I mean, I'm not a Studio B hater, so...
Why would you be, you know?
I don't know.
What is it? Local man first not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
Fair enough. Today, we will get into what happened or what was said after practice from Coach Flea and Isaiah Augustave. Scouting Cincinnati. We dug into the film, offense, defense, what you need to know heading into this matchup on Saturday. But we start with this. Is Shedeur Sanders being overlooked in the Heisman Trophy race? Our guy Gucci had a tweet that went out yesterday. Shedeur Sanders right now leads college football in completions with 195. He's top 4 in completion percentage, 72.2. Top 5 in passing yards, 2,268. Top 5 in touchdowns, 19. Has 4 games of 300-plus yards, and the Buffs have a 5-2 record. What do we think? Shout out to Gucci. We're actually going to give him credit.
I was going to say, unlike some people, we're citing our source on those stats. Look, man, the answer is, in my opinion, unequivocally yes. He is being unfairly left out of the Heisman conversation. And I think it has to do with a few things. One is the unnecessary hate that he gets and Coach Prime gets, and really almost everyone besides Travis Hunter on this team get. Two is, I think there was this... The Travis Hunter conversation actually perfectly underlines it. There was just this idea that Colorado wasn't going to win enough games
right
for a Heisman Trophy winner. And immediately, even when Colorado only had 1 loss, the conversation was, well, how many losses could they have and Travis still get it? Right. I was like, what are we talking about here? They don't have those losses. And so I think that people just almost wrote him off because they're like, oh, if you're going to win it as a quarterback, your team has to be one of the best teams. And they didn't expect Colorado to be there, so he's been left out to this point. Yeah. And then the last one, I think, and I don't know exactly how to explain this other than I think there's a fear from the national media that if they talk about Travis and Shedeur, then they're just going to get thrown with the glazing accusations. Oh, it's just Colorado glazing. Right. That's all you guys do. But it's absolutely both of these guys belong in there. And Shedeur has all the stats, and right now he's still the quarterback of a team that has a chance to win their conference and go to the college football playoff. And that's why I think... Sorry, I've been ranting for a while here, but that's why I think if they win this week and he goes off, I think he has a chance to jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to your question is obviously, unequivocally, to use your word, RK. I mean, Shedeur Sanders checks all the boxes that we would typically, historically look for in a Heisman Trophy candidate, a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, he's putting up the stats. I mean, you rattled off some of them. From our boy Gucci. He's taking care of the football like he typically does, even with some interceptions, some turnovers over the last couple weeks. I mean, what he's doing while being one of the most sacked quarterbacks in college football, once again, I'm looking at it right now, only 2 quarterbacks in FBS have been sacked more times so far this season than Shedeur has been sacked, which is 24 times. And I was actually looking at it earlier today. That 24 number is pretty high, but through 7 games last year, Shedeur was sacked 34 times. So there's clearly some improvement there from the offensive line play. But back to Shedeur, it's obvious. He's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in college football. He's playing on a winning team. He's the reason his team is winning. One of the reasons that his team is winning, because they have an explosive offense led by his arm. And, again, he has a Heisman moment, at least one. We would go back to the Baylor, Hail Mary. So, again, he checks all the boxes that we would historically look for when we're talking about a Heisman Trophy candidate. So it makes you think, why isn't he up there, right?
Yep.
And to me, it kind of goes back to the last time I was in Studio B, the thing you asked me about, the story that I wrote about the fact that I don't think Travis Hunter's going to win it. Not because he isn't worthy, not that Shedeur Sanders isn't worthy. It's because for some reason, I would love somebody to tell me, because I don't really know it. But for some reason, there is, whether it's a bias against Colorado, Deion Sanders, or just both, Heisman. Because again, you don't just win the Heisman Trophy. You gotta be voted a winner. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't know exactly what the demographics of Heisman voters look like, but I can assume so. Yeah. I can assume so. You all out there can kind of assume what that group probably looks like and thinks like, and
probably looks a lot like sports media.
Probably. I think that's a fair guess. And again, those are just one of the reasons, again, why I didn't think Travis, although he was more than deserving, especially at that point that we talked about it through 5 games or so, he was more than deserving. I didn't think he would be voted it. And kind of the same, I think, is unfolding here for Shedeur, who is obviously more than deserving. One of the best quarterbacks, again, if not the best quarterback in all of college football.
It's clear that they don't like him. Just people, media, Heisman voters, just whether it's what Scott was talking about, or it's Colorado, or it's Coach Prime, or just Shedeur and what he does off the field, which, again, is not a problem, but people love to look at what he does and go, oh, you can't do that. So you're looking at the odds, he is plus 5,000. There is Jackson Dart, Drew Allar, Curtis Rourke at Indiana, Garrett Nussmeier, Jalen Milroe, Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, Dylan Gabriel, and Cam Ward, quarterbacks ahead of him in the odds.
How do you watch Drew Aller play football and Shedeur Sanders play football and think that the Penn State quarterback has a better chance of being a Heisman Trophy winner? I don't get that.
And how about this? I've seen plenty of people who are willing to say Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah.
Like the usual suspects who you wouldn't expect to say that. Almost begrudgingly. And he might be one of the best or the best quarterback in the country. Why is he allowed to be in that conversation but not the Heisman?
No, he's like consensus number 1 quarterback in the NFL draft right now. Everyone's saying what you're saying. And
when has this ever happened?
It's crazy.
I don't think it has. I don't think it's ever been a time where we were talking about someone as the best quarterback in the country and not at the same time talking about them as a Heisman contender. That doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't. It makes you think.
Yes.
What is missing on his Heisman Trophy resume at this point, right? Winning,
continuing
stats.
to win for sure, but
I mean, you're right. You have to do that, but you can say that for everybody. And again, odds are indicative. Yes, they're not everything, but they're certainly indicative of how things are likely to play out or how things currently stand amongst Heisman voters. So these odds shouldn't be dismissed because they're legit. And again, it's just telling of where people stand on Shedeur Sanders in this program.
And just to kind of tie a bow on this, what sucks to me the most of all of this is, like, for whatever reason you want to make it, it feels like there is some sort of just like personal issues with Shedeur Sanders. And to me, those are so unfounded. Mm-hmm. And anyone who, could have the pleasure of being around Shedeur for more than just a press conference and actually talking to the kid would realize, like, he's an awesome kid. He's humble. I was thinking about this today, like, if we talked to him about this, he would just be like, oh, I don't care. Give it to Travis. I just want to win.
Right.
Like, that's almost like a Heisman characteristic.
It's a leader.
Yes. And it's just that part actually, it bothers me a lot with Coach Prime, how people have these personal feelings about him. But, like, I think Coach Prime would say this too. Like, he's a man, like, come at him. He's used to it.
He can take it.
And Shedeur can too. But this is like a kid who's actually a really good kid that people are just hating on for no reason.
Yep.
And it's because he like threw his watch up because he had a iconic celebration that people found to be cocky.
Because he has a song that people like.
But like Baker Mayfield's telling the opponents to S his D.
Stamping the flag at
Yeah.
midfield.
And oh man, this kid's got moxie.
Right. Scrappy.
Hey, do Shedeur still do the watch up still?
He needs to.
He should.
needs to get back on
bring
it.
it back, bro. I'm
He
not
needs to
gonna
get
lie.
back on
He
it.
needs to bring. I feel like and that kind of makes me feel bad too because I don't think he pays too much attention to the outside noise, but I feel like part of the reason he probably doesn't do it anymore is because it's taken on a life of its own and kind of people look at him sideways about it. But he need to bring that back. That's too lit.
Exactly. I don't know. The whole thing is, the more you think about it, the grosser it gets.
Yeah. And there's been some articles that have come out.
Oh yeah.
I want to say because I know where you're going with this.
Just trying to tee you up, bro.
Yeah. And I'm pointing at myself here too. We as a fan base, as Buff Nation, have to stop giving oxygen to people who don't deserve it.
It's true.
Because like there's people out there with like a couple hundred followers who the only interaction they get is when they get us riled up. And now they're doing it on purpose.
Facts, bro. Like the man in question.
Yeah.
I was on his page today, and you look at his other stuff that isn't Colorado related. I'm
Nothing.
talking about no reaction,
Nothing.
Zero retweets, 0 likes.
He says some foolishness about Shedeur Sanders or whatever. 24 replies.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going for. And you're spot on about
We
that.
got to let some of these people just fade into the void where they belong. Some people have a platform and need to be checked, but we accidentally give people a platform sometimes. And like I said, I'm pointing at myself here too. I'm going to try and be better about it.
Same here. Let's not remember, though, last year's Heisman race. This point last year, Jaden Daniels wasn't really in the conversation.
It's true.
And I talked with my guy, Justin Hart. He does radio out in Colorado Springs about this. He's an LSU fan, and he's saying, the Heisman races are done in November. That's when really the majority of the work that you earn your Heisman resume or whatever happens. Games come down to crunch time, obviously. Conference races are tight, rivalry week, all that stuff. So there's a lot more to go in this Heisman race. And I think if the Buffs simply keep on winning, there's no way that you're going to be able to keep Shedeur out. I mean, some of these guys are just going to drop out naturally. Like Penn State, Drew Alar. Like, they've got some tough games coming up, man. I think they have to play Ohio State. If they end up taking 3 or 4 losses, and even then, 3 or 4 losses isn't like a death mark on your Heisman resume. Because Jaden Daniels won
9-3, right?
9-3 last year.
Yep.
And, I think I don't know about you, but RK and I were at least saying Michael Penix should have won the Heisman. But, I mean, Jaden Daniels just kind of came out of nowhere last month of the season.
He really did.
So it's possible.
It's such a great point. And the truth is, like, no one wants, at least the people who didn't think Colorado was going to be good are kind of hoping that it fades away. But win this week, win against Texas Tech, and all of a sudden you're going to be right there. You're going to be one loss team in the conference, and people will have no choice but to start talking about, is Colorado going to make the playoff? Is Colorado going to win this conference? And then at that point, you have to talk about their quarterback who's putting up incredible numbers as a potential Heisman contender, a potential Heisman winner. And the other thing is, like, as much as Travis feels like he's immune as much as it feels like Travis is immune to some of the hate, people are waiting for a reason to take him out. And so if he, isn't fully himself this week, and let's say he has 3 catches for 45 yards or something, and, plays a spot on defense, they're just going to say, all right, he's done.
Yeah.
So we just, got to keep fighting the good fight here.
Yeah.
We do. All right, let's take our first break of the day, and then we'll get to scouting Cincinnati. Shout out to our friends at Coors Light. Time to chill. Scouting and chill. That's what we're about to do.
I think you might need to chill.
But shout out Coors Light. Come hang out at the DNVR bar with us. Come to the tailgates. Just hang out with us and chill. We got Coors Light on draft in the silver bullet cans. We got the stubby banquet bottles. And you can get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. We got a bye week coming up. Sounds like a great time to chill.
That does sound like a great time to chill.
Yeah.
Also, sadly, I found out that I cannot go to Jackson State homecoming.
You planning on it?
I really
We were
wanted
talking
to. Yeah,
about it.
we've been talking about it since the off season. And Unk's going out there, but
Is it next week?
Yes, during the bye week.
Yeah, during the bye week.
I know it literally would be so epic, but I months ago committed to babysitting our godson all weekend. So I even joked about a half joke. I'm like, oh, babe, I guess you'll just have to handle it yourself.
Nah.
Nah,
Godfather duties.
didn't work out.
Bet365.
Shout out Bet365. I will be doing plenty of that during the bye week and plenty this week. I actually just got a notification from Bet365 that was like, even as an existing user, they were offering to match $100 deposit for me. So
They're the homies.
they're always
man.
coming through. And then, you mentioned it this week, but the early payout, it's now hit, twice for Colorado this season?
On UCF and Arizona.
Yep. So there you go. Oh, and Colorado State.
Yes, it did.
Now, thankfully, you haven't needed it in any of those games. You would have got it at the end of the game. But hey, you want to roll that money into a new bet mid-game, you can do that.
Yep.
It's an awesome deal that they have over there, and they have more awesome deals for you if you haven't signed up yet, because you can use the code DNVR365 to deposit $10 and unlock the bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more and get $200 in bonus bets, and you can put it all on one. I sent this to Jake, so I got to pull it up. Give me a second here. But shout out to my guy Jimmy, because he took all of his $200 in bonus bets, and he was listening to the show, and he was like, I heard you guys talking about how Fafita's forcing the ball down the field. So he made a same-game parlay, Colorado money line, Arizona under 291.5 passing yards, and Arizona over 0.5 interceptions thrown.
What's the juice?
Hell of a
Took
play.
that 200, turned it into $850.
Let's go.
Hell of a play.
That's
check.
straight cash at that point.
Hell of a play.
So shout out Bet365. Get in on that bet and get offer. Of course, you must be 21 and older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, scouting Cincinnati. I watched 3 games. What side of the ball do we want to start on?
You tell us.
Let's just do their defense. I watched Texas Tech, Pitt, and UCF. 3 fairly different teams, I would say, I guess, with Pitt being kind of the middle of the road of both of them. This defense, though, very similar to K-State. 3-3-5. They're going to try and take up grass pre-snap. Also, if you've been watching Iowa State and what they've done defensively under Matt Campbell, I believe their defensive coordinator comes from Iowa State. So what you're going to see is these three-man fronts, and these linebackers love to move around and stuff, but they come downhill so quick. It's like a false sense of security with that 3-man front. They want you to run, but they run fit it pretty well from their linebackers and their safeties coming downhill.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. This is kind of the trendy defense in college football right now. Has been probably since TCU took it all the way to the national championship game, didn't they? Yep. And you mentioned it. When you have a player like Corleone in the middle, by the way, blame Drake for me mispronouncing that yesterday. But he allows you to be able to do this, because he's going to take up so much space in the middle, and he's going to allow your linebackers to just kind of wait, and then attack. So the whole defense is really built around him, and it's an interesting one because they're kind of daring you to take your time to throw the football. They can get pressure, but a lot of times they send 3, and they're just like, "Are you patient enough to wait for something to come open against 8 defenders?" Shedeur is, and we know that, and we know he has no problem with buying time playing scramble drill with those guys all day. So that's an interesting one. And then I want to take full credit for this one because the PFF guys mentioned it too. But
Great preview, by the way. Go check it out.
They're just daring the quarterbacks to throw 15-yard passes into the middle of the field.
Yes, they are.
Another thing that Shedeur is just going to be like, okay, all right, fine. I have to imagine they're going to mix it up from what they normally do and try to generate pressure on him, bring more than they normally like to. But it's a false sense of security is such a great phrase for this defense because it just feels like it's going to be easy, but they cover so much ground that it does make it tough.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You mentioned, Corleone, and I think he's going to be one to watch, particularly because of the position he plays, right? With Colorado's center position a bit in flux right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I would have had the wherewithal to ask Coach Prime about that yesterday. What that's looking like, whether Hank is going to be back in there. I assume he would be.
I think he will.
I assume he would be. But regardless, that's going to be a tough matchup for Hank and those, interior guards, matching up with Dante. And also, too, the three-man front, I believe, kind of gives them a lot of flexibility to do stunts and whatnot,
Yes,
which
it
is
does.
Another thing that
Blitzes, they blitz a lot from that second level.
Yeah,
Laughing at Unk's comment here.
That's another thing that shout out Unk, man. That's another thing that Colorado's offensive line has kind of struggled with, defending those kind of looping, pressures and twists and whatnot. And you mentioned K-State's, similarity to their defense in Cincinnati. Obviously, Kansas State's defensive, from a sacks perspective, had a nice night a couple weeks ago against Colorado. But overall, I really like this matchup for Colorado's offense.
Yes.
You look at it, Cincinnati, to me, has played one good offense this season. Yeah. You mentioned it was Texas Tech. In that game, Texas Tech scored 44 points and had 480 total yards of offense. So they pretty much did whatever they wanted to, went up and down the field. And I like your point, too, that Cincinnati, their philosophy, if you will, is to, make you put together 8, 10, 12 play drives and, really go the distance. And again, that's something that this offense is built on explosives and big plays, but Shedeur has shown the ability to lead a 8, 10 play drive, stack up, first down.
Games.
So I like I said, I really like this matchup. I really think this offense, they've pretty much been scoring 28 points on everybody by average. I think this offense will cruise to 30 points minimum. And again, too, Cincinnati, the last two quarterbacks they beat and played were Ja'Cory Brown and our guy Jeff Sims. So not exactly Shedeur Sanders.
And that's exactly what I was going to bring up is I watched 2 games, and they couldn't have been more polar opposite of each other, and I almost feel like I need a third to break the tie because and it makes sense. Against Jeff Sims, it looked like it was impossible to throw the ball to him because he wasn't decisive enough in throwing balls into those windows. So he's just like standing back there holding the ball, scrambling around. Against Texas Tech, I felt like they were playing with like 7. Like it just felt like the wide receivers were open on every play. So 2 polar opposites. Obviously, if you're comparing Colorado to one of them, you would compare them closer to Texas Tech than to Jeff Sims and ASU.
Sure.
Yeah. And then one more thing I wrote here is if you want to run the ball, you can to the edges. And that is what I thought about Nebraska.
Yeah.
And we obviously never even tried in that game to run to the outside. But, I think that if I was scheming up runs for this week, it would be a lot of just run away from Corleone.
Yep. I wrote down that too. I said formation alignment and the option and RPO game could be key. That's what UCF did well, was the RPO and option game. They were able to find space in both running and passing. But in the Pitt game, if you look at how they were able to line up against that 3-3-5, and so like maybe it's the strong side. I can't remember. I think it was because there's a tight end there. And the way Cincinnati would align their 3-3-5, the tight end just had to get the edge, and then if you got to guard up to the second level to get the backer, it was literally straight ahead for the Pitt back. Like, got the handoff and wide open for 12 yards ahead. So if you can kind of scheme some of those up, they'll be open. Number 11 is a good player. The linebacker, Dante Corleone, is their best defensive player. The corners can be beat. They will allow big plays downfield. They're a solid tackling team. They can miss in the open field and in the perimeter. They have a tendency to force fumbles. They forced 14 fumbles and recovered 8. That is 4th in the nation with 1.1 fumble recoveries per game.
Turned quite a lot.
Yep. Turned the ASU game, I feel like, by forcing a fumble off Scattaboo.
Definitely.
They're down 7-0. Sorsby throws a pick. ASU has like kind of a good run on first down, and they just fly in there and punch it out from Scattaboo.
Yep.
Clean punch. And to that game, I think that ASU would have won that game if they had their quarterback.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
They shut out Cincinnati in the second half. And so it was that's an interesting game to watch. But I think I said this similarly about Kansas State. It's like, other than Corleone, they don't have a lot of stars. It feels like they have a bunch of 80 overalls.
Yeah.
It's just like they don't really have that many weak spots either.
Yeah. 11's a good player.
Yeah.
Coach Brown pretty much said that yesterday too. Like they, nothing special, spectacular really about their team, but they're solid. They're well coached,
yep.
and they're in the right spot most of the time.
To the other side of the ball, we'll start with the quarterback. My notes on Sorsby: he's deceptively mobile. He can wiggle his way out of sacks in the pocket, and he can take easy yards with his legs, but he's not a blazer. I'd say he's even slower than Fafita last week. So if you give him those open lanes, and we know Colorado has struggled to cover the quarterback run, what could be a 20, 25-yard game will maybe only be a 10, 12-yard game with Sorsby, but he will take advantage.
Reminds me a bit of Sawyer Robertson.
Confident thrower. He's got command of the offense, but he's good for a few careless throws a game as well.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest takeaway. He's thrown an interception in 3 straight games now. He's been sacked at least once in every game since the season opener. So there are going to be opportunities, whether it be interceptions, strip sacks, for this Colorado defense to really turn this game on its head, with the big takeaway. I think I kind of look at this game similarly from a defensive perspective as kind of looked at UCF, Kansas State, where it's if Colorado can stop Corey Kiner in this run game, they'll be perfectly fine and they'll cruise to a solid win. Corey Kiner's a really good player. I mean,
29's a good back too.
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah, he
I've
is.
got it here.
Like,
his name is Evan Pryor.
Evan Pryor. Yeah. So yeah, 2 really good backs, and he's more of an explosive.
He averages 9.9 yards per carry.
Yeah, he's an explosive
How many
guy.
carries?
So
31.
Damn.
Kiner's rushed it 106 times. He averages 5.6 per.
Yep.
So yeah, again, in my opinion, if you can stop this run game, if you can mitigate this run game and force Brendan Sorsby to put the ball in the air, Colton Hood, one of those other DBs are gonna have opportunities to take the ball away, and I think that's gonna bode well for the Buffs here on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit a lot of it. Sorsby loves to pick apart the short stuff.
Yep.
And so I assume this is going to be a big man coverage, press game for Colorado where they're going to try and take that away. And it's similarly to what they did to Sawyer Robertson, was just like, we dare you to hit a slot fade.
Yeah.
And he did once and then missed on 2 other ones, I think on 3rd downs. Like, he kind of is a world that you have to live in games like this. You're going to ask him to do what he doesn't prefer to do. If you just sit back and play zone and allow him to just throw into little windows all day within 10 yards, he will. Colorado kind of gets to do what they like to do here. And King Mars just said it in the comments, but they run a lot of RPOs, and if they get that run game going, that can be really dangerous. Perfect example of this is UCF. When you stopped their run, the RPO game wasn't all that successful. They did have that one drive where they ran the same play like 4 times in a row and scored on it. But the opposite of it is Kansas State. You let that run get going, and then all of a sudden everything opens up.
Yep. They've got some good weapons. Xavier Henderson's a good receiver.
He's a good player.
Tony Johnson's a good receiver.
They got a big tight end,
Joe
too. He's a
Royer.
good player. Yeah, like 6'5", like 250, pass-catching guy. That's going to be an interesting matchup, whether it be those linebackers or whether it be, Shiloh or Cam even.
And they scheme him open a lot. They have plays built specifically for him to get the ball in space, pop passes, rollouts, play action type stuff. Yeah. You'll see a lot of 11 and 12 personnel out of a variety of looks, heavy dose of play action and RPOs, rollouts, under routes, and moving the pockets.
Yeah, last one I'll add is, we are always banging the table for Colorado to have creative runs.
Yeah.
Cincy has a ton of them. They really scheme it up in the run game.
What do y'all think Cincy's best win is this season? Is it their shutout of Houston?
Man.
Or is it their win over Jeff Sims or Ja'Carry Brown? Because those are the options.
It's probably UCF, honestly.
That's
and that was Ja'Carry's first game, wasn't it? That's when they were mixing everything up.
And he didn't even really start that game.
No,
it was another guy.
The freshman.
Right. So I think this is honestly, I think Cincinnati is better than I thought they would be preseason, but this is, to me, a team that is a little bit worse than their 5-2 record indicates.
Well, in this, you would probably make the case that this is their hardest game so far.
Doubt.
For sure.
Texas Tech is up there for sure, but
last thing I'll add is don't allow this team to believe they can, compete in a shootout with you, because they do have weapons.
Yeah.
So don't allow Sorsby to get confidence early. Rush has got to be there. They got to hit him. They got to pressure him. They do that. I feel really good about Colorado winning this football game handily.
And if Colorado does against the run what they've done to everyone except Kansas State, it should be a wrap.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, let's take our next break and shout out our friends over at BetterHelp.
Big shout out to BetterHelp. Everyone's going through something, and it's a lot easier when you have someone to talk to, especially if you don't necessarily feel comfortable talking to people that are constantly in your life. You can go to BetterHelp and talk to someone, and just vent. It can really help. So you can visit today. Go to BetterHelp.com/DNVR to get $10 off your first month. BetterHelp.com/DNVR. Talk to somebody.
And then shout out to the Upswing Foundation, the only youth sports foundation based in Colorado. They just opened a new whole facility up in Centennial. They're having an open house on November 3rd from 1 to 3. Come meet their performance coordinators and dance coaches. Just an opportunity for kids to get involved with sports. Again, it's off of University Boulevard in Centennial, Colorado. It's the first dedicated space built to deliver the Upswing experience to aspiring athletes in Denver and the surrounding communities. Athletes under 18 can sign up for classes at upswingfoundation.org/login or by downloading the Upswing Foundation app. And DNVR listeners get 20% off all services when you use the promo code DNVR20 at checkout. Upswing also offers scholarships to qualifying athletes under 18 years of age to train in sports, performance, dance, and recovery in their new state-of-the-art athletic facility in Centennial. Shout out to Upswing and shout out to the youth of Colorado.
It is a real who's who in the comments. It's like Colorado's sideline for a home game in the comments. We got Unk, we got DC from Select QB, the best quarterback coach in the nation. It's popping off in here.
I'll vent to you anytime.
Also,
Unk.
someone suggested that we bring the baby to Jackson State homecoming.
Low key.
How do you think Spence would feel about that?
I don't know. This be interesting.
And yeah, shout out Select QV in the comments. All right, let's get to press conferences today. Did you guys have anything else on Cincinnati?
No.
I think we covered it.
Again, just check out the PFF show. Those guys they kill it, and they did a great job breaking all that down. Today, we had Coach Flea, Isaiah Augustave, and Arden Walker up on the podium. You can check all these out on our YouTube channel. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are just over 3,000 subs, 4,000 subs?
Yeah,
right?
Four.
Like 45
Math is
4.5.
4.5-ish, I guess. But hit that subscribe button. Let's go to Coach Flea first. He gave an update on Michael Welsh, who we know has kind of been dealing with that hamstring injury. We saw him for one carry last week. And
one carry the week before, I believe.
Yep. Well, here's an update.
Micah, he has, hamstring problems, and we tried to get him going in that first run. He felt something. So at this part of our season, we know that there's still a lot of football to be played. So we want to be careful with that. With Dayon, he has some injuries. He's banged up a little.
Covering Unk with the logo is crazy.
Do you play Micah this week at all?
Can he go?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's sore and it's not 100%, but they've been giving him looks to try it out the last few weeks.
The word the phrase hamstring problems also, a bit of a red flag to me that this might be a lingering thing that, again, isn't just a 1 or 2 week fix. That, to answer your question, I think it would probably be smart to put him on the shelf, at least for this week. And then with the bye coming up next week, see where he's at that point.
This is a classic scenario of rest him for 1 week and you really rest him for 3.
Right.
Because you have all of this week of rest, all of next week of rest, and then a full week of rest again before they play that game at Texas Tech. So, I would probably shut him down right now and just give him a chance to try to get as healthy as he possibly can. These hamstrings, it's not like you can just know one day, like, oh, all right, it's healed. You can with kind of like a sprained ankle. You're just like, okay, it's not killing me anymore.
Yes.
That's why I think they've tried it out. But right now, let's try and do everything we can to get him fully healthy. At the same time, do you maybe give Brandon Hood a look?
Well, speaking of Brandon Hood, is my mic on? Speaking of Brandon Hood, Coach Flea was asked about him today, and here's what he had to say.
Hood doing this year?
Oh, he's great. Brandon's, he's very competitive. He wants to be in right now, which is good. But he's doing a great job on the scout team for us right now. And he's young. He does a great job as far as coming to the meetings and still retaining the information. So in any type of situation where we have backs that's down, I can plug them in to give guys like the Isaiah or Charlie who's going this week, get him a blow in practice, and then he's able to facilitate the things that we have going in the meeting. So Brandon Hood's a guy that he comes out and give a great look on in the scout team, for the defense, and on special teams. So he has a bright future.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, throw him a screen, just give him an opportunity out there. Same thing as Keaton Wade. You can play
Maybe
him.
a jet sweep.
Maybe. Maybe. Out of Wildcat.
Yeah.
Won a Heisman with him doing that.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as Keaton Wade. You got 4 games to work with if you want to get him in there. Right now, when you're thin at the position, it seems like a chance to just see what he can do.
Yep. And he mentioned when he was talking about, Coach Flea was talking about Micah, that Dallon's a little banged up too. I'm not sure if it's the ankle or whatever, but getting a little thin in the running back room. Yeah, I mean, if you need to and you need a jolt of speed, Brandon Hood's the perfect guy to throw in there.
It's a very timely comment from Before You Go Pro, who is 17. He popped on special teams to me this weekend. That is Isaiah Hart.
Yep.
And you could
That's
use
my
him.
guy.
You could use him at running back, as was highlighted in the spring game.
Yeah. Give him some touches, man. Come on.
Speaking of Hood brothers, does Colton Hood, how do you take him off the field?
It'd be tough conversations.
I mean, it's a great problem to have that you now have with you could have with him and Carter Stoutmeyer, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like you could maybe find a more creative way to use Travis, as they were maybe experimenting with a little bit last week. I think that was maybe more of just having him off the ball so he wasn't having to make as many tackles, but could maybe let Travis almost rob the middle of the field. You could get really creative now that you just have a lockdown corner out there who was on the bench before.
Who do you take off the field though? I mean,
that's
you got to
what I'm
take
saying.
a corner, a safety, or a linebacker.
It's tough.
I don't know.
It's a good problem to have. I'll tell you that much.
Two picks in 2 games.
And again, it's like you mentioned, I think yesterday, right? It's not just the picks; it's the fact that he's strapping up every single
he's in position.
snap. And that's somebody that you kind of have to see on the field more often.
Coach Flea also at the end of his press conference revealed he had a brain operation. He's been through a lot, so go check it out. He was really just upfront and personal when it came to football and what he's doing at the end of that press conference. So shout out to Coach Flea. We love him.
Yeah. And Colton has been out there even when Travis is out there in dime packages and whatnot, but I don't know, man. He's even Carter was great when he had to fill in.
Yeah.
Colton is even a level above that.
Colton would start for a lot of teams in the Power 4.
That's what I was gonna say. Going back to my conversation before the season with our guy Phillip Dukes, who's
Might have started at
very
Auburn.
much tuned into the Auburn football program. Yeah, he said that Colton Hood was their number 3 corner, and a lot of people around that program thought that he should have been a starting corner for them. So this is not really anything new for Colton Hood.
That's true. Isaiah Augustave was up on the podium. One day I will forever get it right. He was on the podium next. He shared why he chose Colorado out of the portal.
I just want to be part of a winning culture, and that's what Coach Prime got here, and that's why I came to be part of the winning culture and learn how to win.
A winning culture under Coach Prime. Some said it wasn't possible.
Crazy, man.
Oh man,
that's a big guy. And
yeah,
it's no surprise why Coach Prime calls him the big fella.
for real. Literally, when he said it yesterday, I just assumed Micah for some reason.
Okay.
But just because Micah is for real big. But no, I mean the same could be said for Isaiah, and that's thing too. That's interesting about him because I think at this point he's kind of got the reputation of being a thumper. I asked him today, how would he describe his running style? He said downhill, one cut guy. But like when I watched him, especially late in the season, you know, when he kind of took off for Arkansas late in the year, he kind of seemed like a more of a speed back guy. Like he has legit burners on the outside. And again, back to Dukes, I talked to him about Augustave, and he told me that Augustave reminded him of Dylan Edwards. And that's a completely, you know, diametrically opposed, you know, thought of, you know, how we think of, you know, Isaiah Augustave right now. So I just think there's a ton of talent in that young man. Again, can run between the tackles, can get you 4 yards of pop, but can also bust a big play. So I'm really excited to see him, you know, coming off the start last week, you know, probably building some more confidence, see what he does this week against Cincy.
I'd love to see him get running in a straight line again.
Yes.
Like, you know, there's so much speed on this team that you sometimes can not notice it in the midst of a game because, you know, we talk about like the 40-yard dash and how often are you really running 40 yards in a straight line.
Right.
Yeah. Like you see some of these, like Jimmy's a perfect example of like when he just gets to run as fast as he can, it's like magic.
Yeah, NDSU.
I think there was a video too for maybe well off like a couple weeks ago of Augustave and Brandon Hood racing in practice.
I think you're right, yep.
And Augustave won, but I mean, both of them were flying.
Yeah, they are.
They got some real speed.
Back to Coach Flea real quick. He was asked about Isaiah Augustave's efficiency and how it affects the offense. Coach Flea said, "There's always been the plan all year to try and get a run game to average 4 yards per carry and stay ahead of the chains. Augustave's going to get 4 yards because of his natural ability. And he's got the speed, but he can also just like lean on people and just get that too."
Yep.
And another thing too, Coach Prime mentioned it yesterday when I asked him about it, and Coach Flea kind of echoed the same message today. The fact that they want a guy to kind of take control of this backfield, prove that they're a 3-down guy and somebody they can just rely on, be like, this is our guy. And I think it's a good opportunity for Isaiah this weekend to, if he plays well, like how we think he can this weekend, I think he'll be that guy moving forward.
Last thing from press conferences, first time we got to speak to Isaiah and really just hear him talk, honestly. So he was asked what his why is and what he does what he does for.
What drives you as a football player?
Well, I got a little girl at home. I just want to be able to provide for her, and I just want her to grow up and be able to see me play. And I mean, if I don't do good out there, I feel like she doesn't eat. So I got to give her 110% every day out there so she can be able to eat at night.
Has she been able to come out to see you play yet?
Yeah, she's been out every home game.
Awesome.
How old is she?
She's 5 months.
You tell by the smile on your face, that's awesome.
Thanks, Isaiah.
I was going to say exactly what Curtis said. First of all, great question by Adam.
Yeah.
But, man, he lit up a whole different way when he started talking about her, which is awesome, man.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
Something Coach Prime talks about all the time.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, what's your why? And then also play like it actually means something. Play like you, like if you don't play well, your family doesn't eat, which is exactly what Isaiah just said.
Yep.
It's awesome stuff.
Last thing I got today, Travis Hunter was named a midseason first-team All-American.
On which side of the ball?
On offense and defense.
Really?
Yeah, on both.
Sheesh.
Not all-purpose player either.
Nah.
They definitely were just handing him that all-purpose recognition last year.
It was ridiculous.
Pick
a side.
So cheap. Yeah, so bogus.
You don't need to pick a side because he's first team on both sides.
And this is the AP midseason All-American.
Nice. And again, going back to, because everyone got mad when Travis said, no one's done what I'm doing. And, started pulling all these all these names of people who have played on both sides of the ball. No one's done that.
That is true.
No one's done that. If Travis Hunter is first team All-American on both sides of the football, that's your Heisman Trophy winner. I know we just had a whole conversation about Shedeur being in there, and he deserves to be in there. If he's a first team All-American on both sides of the ball, what are we talking about?
I know, man.
Though.
He's not just he's the two best players in the country.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's what Shiloh talks about. I mean, he's been able to talk weirdly after every time Travis gets hurt, but he said, you lose Travis, you lose two players.
Yep.
And you see it on the field, too. All right, let's take our final break. Get your questions in the chat now, and we will get to them here very, very shortly. Shout out to our friends, my friends at Westera Credit Union, founded in 1934 here in Colorado with 9 locations across Denver. They are a credit union, not a bank. You know what that means. They're actually invest or care about you and your money. They're not going to upcharge you like all these banks for just doing what you do, having money in your accounts, all that stuff. Check out their smart money checking accounts. It's awesome for those who want to make small balances earn big returns. You can earn up to 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeroscu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
I think we should have Scott do all the ads tomorrow as an initiation. But also shout out to Chinook Seedery, the best seeds in the game. Scott, if you haven't already, go help yourself to
We have a
the
whole drawer.
entire drawer of seeds we have from Chinook Seedery.
Say less.
We'll find out what your favorite flavor is. For Jake, it's Parmesan pepper.
Parmesan pepper and hatch green chili.
There's a lot of peas in
sounds
there.
crazy.
And I love the hatch green chili and the barbecue. So we'll find out what Scott's favorites are here soon. But you can find out what your favorite is when you go over to ChinookSeedery.com and use the code BUFFS for 20% off.
Shout out Chinook. And we are on Samsung TV today for the first time.
How about it?
Yeah.
How about it? On the TV.
That's tough.
So, do you have a Samsung TV?
I actually do.
So, how do you find us on there?
You just go and search DNVR on your Samsung TV. You got to be in Denver for now. So if you're in Denver, you want to watch us on your Samsung TV. You probably already are, though. Just, but it's pretty cool. I love it. What I love about it is you never have to like sit through anything. You know, like you can put on that DNVR channel, especially if you're a Denver sports fan. It's just gonna roll into the next show. You don't have to click over to anything.
That's dope.
And then it's 24/7. So you'll see, evergreen content, even if you turn it on at midnight. Maybe you'll see one of our interviews from the Super Bowl or anything like that. So it's pretty cool. If you have a Samsung TV, definitely check us out.
All right, to the Toyota chat we go. Who is up first today? What's up, Ivan? If the Buffs can manage to make the Big 12 Bowl title game, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
and make a CFP game, how can SS2 be denied a spot in New York for the Heisman? Best and most valuable quarterback in the country by far. I hear what you're saying, but I think votes might be in, depending on time of the year for some of those games, especially CFP.
So the Heisman is given out, I just was looking this up today, the week after the championship games. So the championship games are, I believe, included in the voting.
Interesting.
I'm trying to look it up now.
What I will say about this is you're 100% right. And some people who are going to hate it so much are going to have some uncomfortable conversations about Travis and Shedeur both being in New York, Coach Prime, National Coach of the Year conversation.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much some people are going to hate having to talk about that?
Oh, I can't wait.
And obviously, Kurt Cignetti has a great case as well.
He does.
Of course.
But it's going to be fun when those conversations start coming up.
So
Just keep winning.
ballots are distributed on Monday, November 27th. The Buffs play on Friday, November 29th against Oklahoma State. The deadline for Heisman ballots to be submitted is Monday, December 4th. The Big 12 title game is
7th.
Saturday, December 7th.
Oh, so it
Got to be turned in.
so it's
before
all
the
regular
Big 12
season.
title.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll know if Colorado qualified for the Big 12 title.
Yes, we will. All right. BP asked, did Benson play
Wait, really quick.
Yeah.
To tie a bow on a question we were talking about earlier, I don't remember when it was, but we were talking about the Army-Navy game.
Yeah.
And how it could technically it should have CFP implications, but it's not going to.
Mm-hmm.
I learned today that Army and Navy could technically play in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, because they're in the same conference now.
Yeah, so they could play the American Conference Championship during Conference Championship week and then play again the next week. But it would be weird because one of them could potentially already be qualified for the college football playoff before the Army-Navy game is even played.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Pretty weird.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so you could have a double Army-Navy game.
That would be chaos.
My dad would love that.
Yeah, is there anything more American than that? Back-to-back Army, Navy.
Shout out to your dad, by the way. I saw
Yeah,
him
shout
on
out
Twitter.
to
Saw him in the comments
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
Hell yeah.
you gonna be seeing some of my pop.
Let's go.
I love it.
BP asked, did Benson play for Cincinnati? No, Benson played for Indiana.
Yeah, but he did play. His quarterback was Sorsby
Sure was.
at
Oh,
Indiana.
okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
I was talking to him about that in the team hotel the other night.
Eric asks, we play Oklahoma State on the last game of the season. Offerdahl scores his first TD as a Buff and wins the game, clinching the Big 12 title or a berth in the title game. Buying it? Sure.
Sure.
Why?
Count
Charlie
me in.
needs a touchdown.
I'm buying that.
David Boss, do you guys think CU will win by 25 plus points per game for the remainder of the regular season?
I hope so, man.
We do have
If that happened, they'd be a lock for the CFP
Oh, for
win
sure.
the Big 12 or not.
they do have 2 more road games, so there's at least 2 more 27-point wins there.
And what was it against CSU?
They
22?
beat them
28-9.
28-29, so 19.
Okay.
It was 22-29?
28-19.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
28-9.
Yes.
Spin Backo, what uniform do you think we're wearing this week?
Black jerseys.
I'll say this.
Uh-oh.
A thing that I thought wasn't happening might be happening. So if you've been
Interesting.
following the uniform conversation enough, you might be able to figure something out on that.
Yep.
Well, then.
Elizabeth says, who would you guys feel more comfortable covering since he's big tight end and why?
That's a really good question.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to change. It's not going to be one person the entire time. I do think the Travis factor is interesting with what they tried to do last week. This would be a guy that is definitely more impactful than the Arizona tight end.
I mean, again, depending on Travis's health and if you want him to just be getting his normal usage, but if you wanted to just say, okay, well, you don't have your tight end anymore, then you do what you did last week and just have him line up over the tight end.
Yep. I don't know. DJ's got good size.
Yep.
Carter's got good size.
Carter was kind of the first guy to come to mind for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work. Obviously, with Shiloh probably being on the field, most likely being on the field, but I think that would be a solid matchup for Carter.
Coach Barry, super chats we go. Thank you, man, with the $10 super chat. Hard Rock Casino bookkeeper has started limiting my bet amounts on CU because he knew I'm going to make him get a pink slip. I'm up 21K, and when CU wins Saturday by at least 7 points, I cash out 8K. Congrats to you,
Damn,
Coach
son.
Barry. Let's go.
Turn.
Damn.
Coach
Talk about
Barry,
receipts.
no doubt, again says, does anybody know where the heck Dayon Hayes is he playing Saturday? Hasn't played since Baylor game. How do you go from having the most sacks in first 3 games to turning into a disappearing act?
Well,
You get hurt.
He's been hurt.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's been
it
hurt.
works.
Did not get to ask Coach Prime or anyone today for an update on Dayon, so we don't know.
There's been like a weird thing where I think people are just forgetting to ask about Dayon in the pressers.
Bro, I wanted to get the mic
Yeah.
for the last question against Coach Prime, but they wouldn't let me have it just so I could ask about Dayon.
Yeah, it's weird because back in the day, like you talked about on the postgame show, is like 4 people at the presser.
Right.
So you could come with a list of things like,
Yeah.
here's my big question for like whatever, talking about today or working on today. Here's some other housekeeping notes that I just want to ask the coach.
Yeah.
No one can do that. Everyone's got to throw their best pitch.
Yep, you get one.
Though.
You get
You
one.
get one. That's pretty much how it goes, for real.
So someone's got to, decide, am I going to use my only question to ask about Dayon Hayes? Not that he's not worthy of it, but you've got so many things going on in your mind. Everyone wants to ask coach something. But we definitely need a Dayon Hayes update.
Yes.
See if we can have Unk dig one up for the
I was
pregame
going to
show.
say, tune in on
He's
Friday.
been active on Twitter and whatnot, showing support and whatnot for his teammates.
He has been,
and
yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. No Sam Hart update either. I'm Heaven's Demon with the super chat says going to Vegas this weekend and want to bet on the game in person. Any bets you recommend people look at?
Well, first of all, I recommend you go to Bet365.
Yeah, get $200 free.
Bets, I mean, I like the spread.
It's moved from last time I saw. Last night it was like -5, I think.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think I saw it 5.5 this morning.
Oh, so it's moving a lot then.
I thought I saw a tweet that it moved from 3.5 to 5.5.
I don't want to give away anything from my score prediction, but it'd have to move a lot more before I wouldn't take it.
We'll do score predictions tomorrow with our Big 12 picks. At Bet365, Colorado's a 5-point favorite at home.
Okay.
Sorry, Heaven's Demon. We'll talk lines and all that stuff tomorrow. Coach Barry with another one says, what's going on with Juju coming to the Cincinnati game and posting CU on his X page? You got to make up his mind, CU or USC.
The thing is,
patience.
he doesn't.
That's true.
He doesn't have to make up his mind. It would be really nice if he did.
It'd be
Yeah.
cool.
But
you don't got to.
that's one of the luxuries of being a incredibly sought after recruit.
Yep. Steve Wilfong said that he is coming to Colorado this weekend, though. We'll wait and see if he announces it himself.
Oh, that'll be electric.
Coach Barry again said, heard Omarion can't redshirt because he played 6 games. I'm wondering, can Terrell redshirt? But looks like Dayon Hayes can. I'm wondering, will he redshirt? I'd imagine, I'll look it up officially. But
I don't know how many games Timmons played.
Yeah. But he got hurt in the same game as Omarion.
Yes, but did he play in all the games? I don't think he played at all against North Dakota State, I'm pretty sure.
Credited with 6 games played.
Maybe special teams. So then, yeah, he cannot.
Dayon is a grad transfer, though. I don't think he would want to redshirt. And I don't know if he can. He's played 4.
This is his last, his last season.
Well, you can play 4. So he
Yes.
could. But you're right, if you would want to. And he may have already used a red shirt
At
at
Pitt.
Pitt.
Yep. Chubbs TV, we need an update on Sam Hart. We agree, brother. Do not have one for you. A lot of people asking about Beal, the defensive tackle, too. Again, I don't know what's going on there.
I don't think he played last week.
He's been lower on the depth chart, too.
Yep. He has
So-
made some plays, though, when he's in there.
He has.
It's so funny, just going back to, like, my days covering the NFL. Just injuries are such a part of it, and it's required. So, like, a lot of coaches that I cover would just start their press conference unprompted, giving you the injury updates.
Yeah.
All right, this guy's got this guy's got that, and like then it's, no one has to worry about it. This is like so different because they don't technically have to tell us anything.
Nope. Not in this conference.
Yeah, and Coach Prime's actually been, I would say, more forthcoming about injuries than a lot of other coaches.
You just got to ask him.
Right, exactly.
Anything else? Do you think we will see Baby T.O. this year? Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
4 games, I would bet.
Yeah? He's healthy now.
Yep.
Y'all crazy for saying I look like Joe Mazzulla. I do not look like that, man. Y'all got to stop it. Knock it off.
Did you guys watch any NBA last night?
Nope.
I tried to, and then when I tuned into the Celtics game, it was a 30-point game. I'm like, I'm not
really?
going to watch this.
All I know is the Nuggets play on tomorrow.
Yes, that'll have my attention, but
Yep.
Bull season opener tonight.
it's really hard for me to get into these sports in the midst of college football season like this.
Can we rework the sports calendar?
Yes, and during football month in America when there's a game on every single night.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I love the Avs. I love the Nuggets, and I like watch the games, but it almost feels like preseason to me until Christmas.
Yep.
I agree with you there.
Don't look now, but the Avs.
3 in a row.
Look now. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do Big 12 picks, a bunch of other stuff, pregame Friday. Check out
Uncle to update on Sam.
there you go. Update on Sam Hart from the pregame show. He says Sam more likely won't play. He's making improvements, but still limited. So there you go.
All right.
Forgot what I was going to say. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Let's get it.
We all silly like the mayor.